when we go live. We're live. Welcome to Bill Naaman's Bogus Hangout. Uh, have Doc with us today. Doc, why don't you say hello and introduce yourself?
Good morning, everybody. Doc Sheldon here of Intrinsic Value SEO and Search News Central.
And I am Bill Slosky, author at SEO by the Sea and director of SEO research at Go Fish Digital. We started a conversation in the green room. We're going to keep on at it. We were talking about presentations. I just got back from one in Paris last week, and it went pretty well. I wish I'd seen more of Paris, though. Unfortunately, I was in a suburb of Paris called Saint Denis. It was nice. Uh, I was told it was a 10-minute drive away from Paris, except during rush hour, and it seemed like it was rush hour most of the trip, which makes it about an hour to drive into downtown Paris. But Doc, you're telling me about a presentation that you gave, and you had a moderator who didn't moderate traffic on the way to the presentation well.
Yeah, his bus got T-boned by another bus, and so he didn't make it. And at the last minute, they had some other mod step in for him. And I was supposed to talk for 20 to 25 minutes and then leave 10 to 15 minutes for questions. So I had myself timed perfectly. I talked for just shy of 25 minutes. And then this stand-in moderator got very upset and downright nasty about the fact that I was supposed to talk for another 15 or 20 minutes. And we almost ended up getting a pissing contest trying to make him understand it. No, there's supposed to be question time at the end here. And finally, somebody in the audience said, "Are you guys going to quit bickering so we can ask some questions?"
Good. No, I was really happy with mine. Same type of thing. I had 45 minutes. I finished after 20 or so and had time for questions, and people started asking some really good questions. So I got to elaborate on answers for those.
That's always the best indicator of how well it goes over. Applause is nice, but it's the questions that really tell you how engaging it was.
If people start asking you questions that are aimed at at the things that you were presenting on without any knowledge of the presentation, which they just listened to, it makes you wonder.
Yeah, that's true. They either didn't understand it or you didn't cover it well. I remember the first one I ever did. I left out a major block of information on the topic. And that was the first question I got. Well, what about this? And okay, yeah. So I had the answer, but it was kind of embarrassing because it definitely should have been part of my original presentation.
Yeah, so part of the presentation I gave that I thought might confuse people was I announced that Schema version 3.5 had just been released and was coming out. And the official announcement was earlier today for its release. So it hadn't been fully released. It had just been approved for release 2 weeks ago. And so there's some exciting stuff in it. There's a speakable markup where you identify answers to questions that you want a speaker device to read, which shows you the schema is maybe ahead of the search engines. People are getting upset that Google Analytics isn't showing spoken queries. Do we expect it to?
Probably. My guess would be yes. I was kind of surprised by that email too. That now I guess they're really targeting a monthly release.
Yeah,
which would be kind of cool. That's ambitious, I think, given the amount of discussion, the crosstalk that has to take place. But it would be nice if we could figure that, around the 10th of the month we can expect to see an update.
Hmm. I like also like the FAQ page markup because there was Q&A markup which was supposed to be intended for user generated content questions, and being able to write out your own questions and answers to them uh, makes a lot of sense.
Absolutely.
I mean, especially if you're talking to your customer service people or your salespeople about common questions that people ask.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I can see some opportunity there to rank for
Hmm.
very prevalent questions.
And I remember a couple years ago teasing Danny Sullivan about releasing a page that was titled FAQ on Hummingbird. That was released on the same day that Hummingbird was released.
Kind of
So
ambitious, eh?
I asked him about that. I said, when did you have time to get all these questions about Hummingbird that you answered on the day that was released? I guess it was a matter of anticipating them.
He might have had a heads up on something coming down the pike. Who knows?
I expect he probably did. Hmm. I think it's good to be in a position where you get that type of heads up, but maybe you should watch how you phrase it.
Yeah, well, poor old Danny, he was constantly getting dinged from one side or the other anyway about being a. I mean, I even got into it with him a little bit one time. I called him a fanboy, which he appreciated about as much as you might expect. And it wasn't a fair accusation. It was a half tongue in cheek anyway. But yeah, he's if you're getting any inside information, sometimes you're better to just sit on it.
I think so. And Google was releasing stuff. They were being really sort of quiet about. Like they came out with Rank Brain and they said, "Okay, we've been running this for 3 or 4 months."
Yeah.
And it's like, really? And you're just telling us about it now?
I think we can expect to see a lot more of that in the future too, Bill. I think that they're going to be like what we just saw the roll something out that a change that they said that we did this quite a while ago. Never felt it necessary to mention. I
Right.
think that that's a strategic decision.
The pagination markup.
Exactly.
Yeah, we don't use pagination markup anymore. We stopped a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
It's like, and you are just thinking about telling us now?
Well, we got spoiled with Matt. He was able to keep us about as much in the loop as we could hope for.
He
And
never officially announced that he was Google guy at Webmaster World, but that
yeah.
allowed other people from Google to fill in for him and answer questions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
We got spoiled there.
it was appreciated that he did that.
Oh, for sure. I miss him and the information, the answers that he shared. It was very, very useful, and it proved to be trustworthy information, in my opinion. I know a lot of people accused him of lying to cover the company line. There was many times when it just sounded so unlikely that I really looked for it, and I have never caught him in a lie. He was always very circumspect in the way he would state things, and you definitely had to read more into what he didn't say sometimes than what he did.
Mm-hmm.
But it was really good information that we got 99% of the time.
Yet I'm reminded of, since yesterday was April Fool's Day, the fact that Gmail from Google was released on April 1st, and people accused Google of Gmail being an April Fool's joke, and they were serious about it.
Yeah.
So it was just poor timing.
Yeah, it's not a good day for anything you want taken seriously.
Right. I mean, I think there's a lesson in there. don't release things on the web on April Fool's Day? Yeah.
Well, speaking of Google, yesterday was the official funeral for G+.
Which is really, really sad.
Yeah, I think it's a shame.
I mean, I miss it a lot more than I think I'll ever miss Orchid.
Well, that's not saying a whole lot, Bill.
I'm not sure that that's because I enjoyed G Plus as much as I did, or Orchid was as bad as it was. But I enjoyed G Plus.
There was some good stuff over there. There were some good groups and some good information. I just personally, I found it a little bit, early on it was too marketer centric. You couldn't find anybody but other marketers in there. That changed over time.
Other groups became active and started using it in creative ways. Like people would play musical instruments on Google Plus.
That I never saw. Well, I found it a little bit too insular. It was kind of something that was over. It wasn't just a whole new set of jungle gym. It was an entirely different playground,
Mm-hmm.
And it just you could either hang there or someplace else, but it didn't integrate itself well into my routine activities of fluttering around social media. It just seemed like it was a long drive to grandma's house, so I stopped going over there much. But there was some good information, some great people, and I learned quite a bit over there in the early days.
Aaron Bradley's semantic marketing community was brilliant.
Great. Yes, it was.
I mean, people were participating there who had positions like the head of schema for Google. It was Dan Brickley, and Ramanathan Guha participated, who's a search engineer for Google, who created the custom search engine at Google. And gotta watch my phone going off every time I say that word.
Every time you say Google, yeah. Yeah, there were some good groups over there. I like Andrew Shotland too was good to follow. Had some good discussions. And Dave Amerland was pretty active over there.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always enjoyed following Dave. He's the guy's got semantic blood.
And engaging conversations.
Yeah.
It was a social network that was truly social. People would say something expecting interaction and would receive it.
And most of the time it was civil interaction. It wasn't like Facebook or YouTube. You could have some disagreements and discussions, and both sides walk away a little better for it. Yeah, It's a shame that it got shut down. I guess I'm sure that there's a solid reason from Google's standpoint behind it. It just didn't fall in place with their long-term strategic plans. But it's a shame because it was valuable.
Hi, Tim. So we're talking about the loss of Google Plus.
Hey, guys.
Got turned off. And it's a shame that it has, but it seems to follow a pattern from Google, their fail fast approach, where things just get shut off. Are you silenced?
I'm so.
Are you muted?
I hear you. I hear Tim.
Do you?
Well, you have to be a member of the.
Or my headphones messed up.
I think you're just listening on the wrong wavelength, Bill.
Attention, Earth. We come in peace.
Really?
We come to serve you. How to serve man.
So you hear him and I don't.
I do.
I hear
I
you,
knew
Bill.
it was you all along, Bill. Something in the control room for you, maybe, that is
Sign language.
muting him?
I don't know.
Don't know.
If Doc can hear me, then I don't think it's on my side.
Nope.
Let me see here. No, let me check my settings.
Can you hear me?
Hear you, yeah.
Now can you hear me?
I do.
Bill, no? I hear both of you.
Tim.
Of course, Bill might be better off if he can't hear me. I don't know.
That's a nasty thing to say about Bill.
No, about me.
Might as well have some fun with this, eh?
Yeah. You know what? Let me log
Now
out.
I can't hear you, Tim.
Okay, I'll come right back in.
Nope. Your lips are moving, but no sound's coming out. Say something, Bill. I can't hear you either. Can anybody hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, now I hear you, Tim.
Okay. Don't know what happened. Must have been sunspots.
Something's being, pardon the expression, upgraded.
Yes. Okay, I'm going to log out and come back in. You never know.
Yeah, you're muted now. Well, you're not muted, but I can't hear you, Bill. Nothing. I think this has to be a Google problem.
Okay, I'm back.
I hear you, Tim, but I can't hear Bill.
Okay, I can hear Bill. Can you hear me, Bill? Oh, no. Doc, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
You're the only one I hear.
Oh, my. Well, you know, let's face it. This is right in the midst of the shutdown of Google Plus. Who knows what's going on?
Yeah, it could be an engineering hitch and get along.
This might be a good time to think about going to Zoom for these things. Yeah. So, yeah. Time for Zoom. Okay. I can hear Bill. Doc,
And
can you hear me?
I hear you, Tim. Can you hear me, Bill?
Okay. Can you hear me, Bill? Can you hear me, Bill? Can you hear me, Bill? Hello? Hello? Testing 1, 2, 3.
A little late for an April Fool's joke.
Well, why don't I, since you guys can hear each other, why don't I drop off and you can have a
I
conversation?
can't hear Bill at all.
Oh, I can hear Bill. He just can't hear me.
So basically, we're forced into a threesome here. Okay, Bill says he can hear me.
Okay.
Yeah, we're having fun now.
Can you hear me?
Oh, Lordy. Yeah, this has got to be something to do with their shutdown or reshuffling resources and whatnot. I had the same issue when I first came in. He couldn't hear me at all, and I bumped out and back in. And after I got out and tried a test call on Skype, I came back in and he could hear me. Well, do you think it's your fault, Tim?
Yes.
Well, we'll try it and find out. Can you hear me, Bill? Okay, I cannot hear you. Well, this is kind of like having a discussion with my wife. It's a one-sided conversation. Because whatever I say, she doesn't hear me. Which I think may be selective hearing, but testing 1, 2, 3. Testing, testing. Nope, I see your lips moving, but crap. Can you hear me, Bill? I hear you. I hear you now. Fuck. This is ridiculous. Yeah. Welcome back, Tim.
Hello, can you hear me? I can hear both of you. Can you hear me?
I hear you.
Bill, can you hear me? Hello, Bill. No. Well, I will let the two of you talk. Okay. I mean, it's better that way. I'll just.
Absolutely. Possible, I suppose. Yeah. Right, so. Okay. Later.